Mother's Day is almost here, and you can get her the most beautiful time-tested gift around. A watch she can wear every day from Movement. Whether your mom is into classic dress watches, rare and refined ceramics, or tried-and-true bestsellers, Movement has something she'll love. And right now, everything at Movement is up to 50% off site-wide during their Mother's Day sale. A watch is a gift that celebrates all the time you spent with mom. And a Movement watch is even more than that. Movement uses industry-leading materials for their fresh modern watch designs, from technically complex ceramics to vintage-inspired style, all for an incredible value your wrist and wallet will both love. And with one-size-fits-all convenience and fast free shipping and returns, it's a stress-free shopping experience. Save big on the best Mother's Day gift ever with Movement. Get up to 50% off site-wide during their Mother's Day sale at mvmt.com. Again, that's up to 50% off at mvmt.com.
Hi, this is Ben Caspit. Welcome to On Israel. 3 weeks before the date on which Netanyahu is supposed to embark on the annexation process and the historic application of Israeli law on Judea and Samaria, the fog is still dense. No one is able to answer questions such as, will there be annexation? When will there be annexation? What will be the size and the extent of the annexation, and will there be regional repercussions to the annexation? An educated guess is that July 1st is not a sacred date, and aside from this, even Benjamin Netanyahu himself doesn't know when the few months remaining until the US presidential elections will lead him. Netanyahu's options no longer appear as clear as they did a few months ago. The Prime Minister is still determined not to miss the historic opportunity he was presented with to change reality, to apply Israeli sovereignty over part of Jewish settlements, and redraft Israel's eastern boundaries. All this with the all-encompassing backing of an American president. In reality, the issue is much more complex than it appears, and with the passing of time, it will become much more complex. The elements will influence Netanyahu's decision from top to bottom are US President Donald Trump, the Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden, Israel's allies in the Gulf, and especially MBS and MBZ, Mohammed bin Sultan and Mohammed bin Zayed from Saudi Arabia and the Emirates, King Abdullah of Jordan, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, Palestinian Authority Chairman Mahmoud Abbas, heads of Israel's armed forces, Mossad, intelligence wing, and Shabak, the European Union and Vladimir Putin, heads of the settler movement and Netanyahu's opposition on the country's political right, headed by Naftali Bennett and Ayelet Shaked. And this is only a partial list. The names of Netanyahu's new political partners, Defense Minister Benny Gantz and Foreign Minister Gabi Ashkenazi, are excluded from this list, but only in theory. Ashkenazi will meet the German Foreign Minister this week, and it is not at all certain that he'll try to persuade him to remove the EU's objection to the annexation. The two former military chiefs of staff are not thrilled with Netanyahu's grandiose annexation program, which takes in 30% of Judea and Samaria, but they are working behind the scenes. Of particular interest is their activity vis-à-vis Washington and the White House team. Here, a far from simple drama has been unfolding recently, in which the president's advisor Jared Kushner and his wife Ivanka tend to support the postponement of the annexation until after the US elections, while the two ambassadors, the American David Friedman and Israeli Ron Dermer, are pushing forward with all the power in their possession. An additional open question relates to the extent to which Netanyahu's secret weapon, America's Christian evangelist voters who love Israel and are expected to vote in large numbers for Trump in November, are committed to this objective. The final result will be determined through weighing the extent of pressure imposed by the people and factors included in this list. Will head of Shabak, Nadav Argaman, and military intelligence chief, Major General Tamir Heyman, warn Netanyahu of possible security flare-ups resulting from the annexation? Will the King of Jordan announce a cancellation or suspension of the peace treaty if or when the annexation takes place? what will be the real stance taken by the leaders of those Sunni states that over several decades have been in conducting open and secret relations with Israel? What will be the extent of the Europeans' commitment to blocking the annexation? Will Joe Biden take an additional step forward by publicly informing Netanyahu that a pre-election annexation process will be conceived as nationalistic by anyone taking his place in the Oval Room next January? The answers to all these questions will become evident over the next few months. The decision will be taken by Netanyahu. Annexation of all parts of the Judea and Samaria can, in his opinion, be a legacy that can override the fact that he is the first prime minister to stand trial in the course of his tenure. Not long ago, the matter seemed no more than a relaxed afternoon walk in the White House Rose Garden. But even the White House is no longer what it once was, surrounded by furious demonstrations, unsettling the president's peace of mind even more than events in the Middle East can do. Our guest today is the legendary retired IDF Major General known as Israel's Mr. Intelligence, Amos Gilead. A former director of policy and political military affairs in the Ministry of Defense and head of the Military Research Division and coordinator of government operations in the occupied territories. Today, Gilead heads the Institute for Policy and Strategy and serves as chair of the Herzliya Conference in the IDC Herzliya. Major General Gilead will join us right after this commercial break.
If you're listening to this podcast, you obviously care about the Middle East, and if you do, you should probably be reading Al Monitor. Al Monitor is a global newsroom headquartered in Washington, D.C., with a network of over 160 contributors around the world. Al Monitor offers first-class reporting and analysis from a range of perspectives and an approach that represents the highest journalistic standards, as well as an award-winning commitment to press freedom and independence. If you haven't done so already, visit us at almonitor.com, check out our articles, and sign up for our free newsletters. There's a lot to choose from, including the Week in Review, an essay that offers unusual insights and forecasts into the region based upon Al Monitor's outstanding reporting. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe to our Al Monitor podcast on your favorite podcast platform, on Israel with Ben Caspit, and on the Middle East with me, Andrew Parasolidi.
We have now with us Major General retired Amos Gilead. Amos, shalom, and thank you for joining us in the On Israel podcast. How are you?
Excellent. Enjoying the corona.
Yes, like all of us. Okay, we're talking mainly about the annexation that Israel wants to do within a few weeks. And I have a question. You are one of the most harsh critics of this movement by Prime Minister Netanyahu. And I want to ask you, we have a very rare, unprecedented opportunity, once in a lifetime opportunity. We have the backing of an American president that can allow us to redraft the Israeli eastern borders and annex most of the settlements in Judea and Samaria. What's wrong with it? Why is it not good?
It is disaster. It reminds me 1982, the disaster in Lebanon. It's
1982, you mean when you was a very young officer in the intelligence and you warned us against things that could happen in the north, in Lebanon?
Not things. I warned that we would be in fiasco, that we were on our way to enter fiasco in Lebanon that ended with hundreds of dead soldiers. Now, we are enjoying unprecedented, excellent, unique, outstanding security stability in the West Bank and with Jordan. The outcome is dramatic. The rate of casualties from terror in the West Bank and from Jordan is very low, the lowest one since decades. So why we need to change it? This stability based mainly on our unique capabilities of the Shabak, the internal security, Shin Bet. However, our unique relationship with the Palestinian Authority, security cooperation, and unique, unprecedented security, defense, intelligence cooperation with the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, the outcome is dramatic. There is no terror from Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. The Daesh, ISIS, Iranians, Revolutionary Guards, Hezbollah, and so on, are trying their best to penetrate to Israel and to kill Israelis, mainly Jews. And we are investing very few forces. And the Jordanians, this cooperation saves Israel from unique billions of dollars. And more important, casualties. We are not suffering for casualties. On the Allenby Bridge, that is called now officially King Hussein Bridge, 2 million people are passing before Corona. Now we do have the Eastern Front that is so fragile and sensitive, very stable. And we need to focus on the main threat. That's Iran, Hezbollah, the nuclear, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and they are violating systematically the nuclear agreement and enriching uranium. We need to focus on this main threat. Why we need to endanger it? Based on my judgment, that is based on long service with them, with the Palestinians and Jordanians. They cannot tolerate unilateral violation and blunt violation of the peace treaty. More than that, if we want to enhance the Jordan Valley, we can enhance it. This is the weakest area in Israel. 8,000 people, maybe. I'm not sure about this data. So we can enhance our grip on the Jordan Valley. Nobody is concerned about it. The moment you declare, it's like violation, humiliation of the Hashemite Kingdom, the Kingdom of Jordan. We are preparing the collapse of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. We might destabilize Jordan. So for all these reasons, without one advantage, we need to stop it immediately, this initiative that is called unilateral annexation. Everywhere that we have done unilateral, we have failed, like Gaza.
Do you really think that there can be a collapse of the Hashemite kingdom? Do you really think that King Abdullah will stop or suspend or cancel the peace treaty? Because I think you know more than anybody else that there is a mutual interest between King Abdullah and Prime Minister Netanyahu. King Abdullah doesn't want to see Palestinians on the Jordan River. He prefers the IDF, and now you give it to him, and next thing, and he can threat for the outside, but in the inside, he may be happy deep inside his heart. Don't you think I'm right?
No, you're totally wrong. Based on my experience, the moment you humiliate the Arabs, you get the negative results. That's well-based. You can have arrangements with them. You may have practical agreements, understandings. Never humiliate them. The last example, we attacked the nuclear project in Syria, we haven't taken responsibility. Everybody knew who was behind it. That's why they didn't retaliate. In Jordan, we do have practical, wide, qualitative security cooperation with Jordan. It's clandestine, most of it, and it's very difficult even to give details. However, the moment you violate, in their opinion, and they are right, I think, unilaterally, the peace treaty, they will not be able to tolerate it, mainly because of the stability of Jordan that is based on very fragile circumstances. Majority are Palestinians without the Arab refugees. 1.5 million refugees. The Iranians are waiting for them. The Syrians are waiting for them. Hamas waiting for them. Islamic Jihad waiting for them. Daesh waiting for them. They will portray Jordan as collaborator and traitor with Israel. Why? We need it. we will never get. I don't think they will violate or cancel the peace treaty. And I don't think they will immediately change the security cooperation. However, we need supporting envelope for this security relationship. That's very important. And there will be erosion in this cooperation. That's why I'm concerned. The Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, they are related deeply to the West Bank and to the Palestinians there, because if there are riots for example, in West Bank, it will have impact, or in Jerusalem, on Jordan. It's based on long experience. And why we need to do it? It's unnecessary. We need to, at the moment I hear that our chief of staff and the generals of Israel are discussing the impact of the annexation, I get angry. They are wasting their time on bullshit while we are facing the growing Iranian threat. That's why I'm so angry.
But they have
to change it.
The Minister of Defense, Benny Gantz, ordered a few days ago a Chief of Staff, Major General Aviv Kochavi, to start the preparations before such an event. It's an historical event, so they have to make the arrangements, you know. And I wanted to ask you, if you were now head of military intelligence, what was your recommendation to Prime Minister Netanyahu and the alternate Prime Minister Gantz? Will you tell them that the annexation can bring us second intifada?
As I used to do in the past, I would recommend them, stop it now. It's unnecessary. It's a threat to Israel. There is no reason for it. There is no security advantage. And we might endanger our security cooperation with Jordan that is so valuable that most Israelis cannot imagine. I'm sorry we cannot share details. However, the bottom line is it enables Israel to focus on the main threat. So my recommendation would be very clear, but General Gantz or General Ashkenazi don't need my recommendation. All chief of staffs in the last decades, absolutely, without any doubt, have understood and understanding today the value and the importance of our security cooperation with Jordan. And the Palestinian Authority too. All chief of staff. I am not talking about other generals. And the head of...
Let us speak about the Palestinian Authority. You just mentioned it. And this morning, it was published that the PA's security forces thwarted a terror scheme against Israeli IDF soldiers. Just this morning, after they announced that they halt the security cooperation with Israel, but they're still working very hard against terror. Do you really think that if Netanyahu will annex parts of the Judea and Samaria, it will really hurt the security cooperation?
Yeah, I tell you how.
Because you know that the main interest of Mahmoud Abbas is blocking Hamas from coming into Judea and Samaria, and in this point is exactly on the same place, on the same spot with us.
Yeah, but I look at it differently. The main interest of Abu Abbas is to contain the Hamas, that's true. However, Abu Abbas is totally, Mahmoud Abbas, Abu Mazen is totally different from his predecessor, Yasser Arafat, Abu Ammar. Abu Ammar was mass murderer. I recommended all the time to kill him. Abu Mazen, he is the opposite. He does not believe in terror, and there is no terror. And he is controlling West Bank better than many of us believe. Why? Because he is controlling the forces of the Palestinians. And they are taking care of riots or violent incidents. Now, the moment the envelope, there are cracks in the envelope. For example, policeman Muhammad, he's coming to his public, to his neighbors. And they tell him, are you collaborator or traitor in the Palestinian cause? Because the Palestinian Authority is outcome of agreement between us and the PLO. And there is still horizon. If there is no political horizon, they are losing their raison d'etre or the legitimacy of the Palestinian Authority. So very slowly, but systematically, combined with economic deterioration, they will lose the passion and the motivation to cooperate with us. And that's why I'm concerned. I'm not concerned about dramatic decisions. I'm concerned about process. In the beginning, it will be described by our leaders. You see, nothing happens. And then the incidents will come. I'll give you an example. Incident in Hebron. They will not come. They will lose their legitimacy. And the incident will widen. Who will take care of it? Our soldiers. Our soldiers need to take care of the northern threat with Iran, or Iran with the northern threat. Even they spend 2 minutes about the security that is so good in the eastern front, it's outrageous. Look at the map. Our security border is between Iraq and Jordan, not the Jordan River. That advantage is unbelievable. Why we need to endanger it? For what? For political ambitions? Why? I don't understand it. And the Americans must stop us.
Let us talk about. You think the American must stop us? Do you expect from the Trump administration to halt now all these movement, all these? They blessed Netanyahu and they said it several times that the annexation is an Israeli decision. Now, do you think maybe the internal situation in the United States will affect President Trump to back or to stop all of this?
If they want to take care of our national security, they need to stop us or not to support it. And it happened, by the way. I was in the United States. All leaders of Jewish settlements came to Washington. Our prime minister has promised to declare annexation. And then Kushner, according to some versions, prevented it. I'm sure the Arab countries will not support this plan. And that's also danger. Why? Even UAE, that the ambassador of UAE with another two Arab ambassadors, stood behind President Trump. And now this ambassador, the same ambassador, has declared, and with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the brother Abdullah bin Zayed, the brother of Mohammed bin Zayed, they have declared they would not, annexation is unacceptable. I'm not sure I'm quoting them accurately, but that's the spirit of it. Now, can you imagine Saudi Arabia supporting it? No way. The world is busy with Corona, is busy with unrest, is busy with instability, with China, dramatic challenges. Why we need to complicate it? It's only politics.
General Gilead, you've been for maybe 15 years, several prime ministers and ministers of defense, secret and discreet envoy to almost all the capitals in the Middle East, states that have diplomatic relations with Israel and states that don't have. What do you really think will be the real stand? Not what they are saying, in the outside, things that you just quoted, but what gentlemen like MBS, Mohammed bin Salman, and MBZ, Mohammed bin Zayed, will really tell the Trump administration behind the scenes about the annexation?
What will happen is...
Also, the Egyptian president, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, etc.
Okay. The good news, I think they will continue the cooperation, the practical secret cooperation with us. They cannot change it now. They need us, we need them. However...
It's irreversible.
I never use irreversible in Middle East because the moment we are speaking, there might be some change. But they will not dare to stop it, to violate it. However, I think the ambassador of Jordan will be called for consultation, namely he will never be back. I think all kinds of practical cooperation besides security will be delayed or suspended. I think the Arab countries will not support the American plan. I'm very concerned. I'm considering the American leadership and friendship as a major pillar in our national security. And the moment the United States of America, the leader of the world, is suggesting initiatives that will not work, it will weaken the United States, combined with what's happening between EU and United States, China and United States, and so on and so on and so on. I think it will weaken the status and the position of United States in the world and will undermine the leadership of United States. What I'm talking about is a process. Our declarations will be, you see, nothing is happening. Like Golan Heights, like Jerusalem. You cannot compare. Golan Heights is an empty area. Nobody cares. And with Bashar Assad, nobody is planning any peace, whatever.
But people were warning about, you're talking about moving the American embassy to Jerusalem, and nothing happened.
No. I said in relevant places that nothing would happen because nobody cared. The circumstances were different. The relationship were different. The leadership of Trump was different. The corona was not here. We are living now in different world. And there is difference between moving, changing, relocation of the American embassy and challenging the basis of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, the Palestinian Authority. There is great difference. Also, I'm concerned that there is defamation on behalf of some leaders in the West Bank, Judea and Samaria against the president. At the end of the day, President Trump, he might or may delay this plan, and he will feel insulted by some leaders. So from all aspects, this annexation must stop now.
Last and final question, General Gilead. You, I think, was the first Israeli officer that identified and warned against the Iranian nuclear effort. I think it was back in the 90s. And what do you think now will happen if the annexation takes place to the American-Israeli international effort to stop the Iranian intention to get nuclear arms?
Excellent question. Here is my answer. I do think since I have presented this threat to Prime Minister Netanyahu, it's embarrassing to say when, 1996.
Yes, his first term as Prime Minister.
We used to argue, as you remember. This threat is moving on. Now, according to Saba, they do have now 1,500 kilo of flow rate enrichment, compared with 300 that they used to have during the agreement. It's very dangerous. The Americans don't have real leverage on Iran. They will be weaker. They will be split between EU and United States. The Arab will feel uncertain vis-a-vis United States. And the Iranians, with Hamas, they will tell Abu Mazen and Jordan and the Arab countries, you see, whoever is supporting the peace with Israel is doomed. And he gets nothing. I'm very concerned about Hamas. I haven't mentioned them. The Hamas will be encouraged to challenge Abu Mazen, to tell him, you are fiasco. You are total failure. It's about time you move. You step down, leave your post. And the only way is our way. And who is supporting them? Iran. Iran supporting Hamas in very terrible way, militarily and other ways. And Hamas will try their best to encourage terror, and they will enjoy popularity. I think that the annexation is a threat to our capabilities to cope efficiently with the Iranian threat. This is the main threat. The nuclear and the regional one, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and the leadership of the United States. I think it's a blow to our national security and to our capabilities to cope with Iran. And the moment we will, our chief of staff and the generals will make preparations to cope with the growing threat based on the annexation, It's totally violation of our obligation to cope with Iran in the most efficient way. It's outrageous. It's unacceptable.
Major General Amos Gilead, your message could not be clearer. I want to thank you very much for joining us in On Israel, Al Monitor's podcast from Tel Aviv. Thank you very much. We'll get to another last commercial break and come back shortly with some closure thoughts.
If you're listening to this podcast, you obviously care about the Middle East, and if you do, you should probably be reading Al Monitor. Al Monitor is a global newsroom headquartered in Washington, D.C., with a network of over 160 contributors around the world. Al Monitor offers first-class reporting and analysis from a range of perspectives and an approach that represents the highest journalistic standards, as well as an award-winning commitment to press freedom and independence. If you haven't done so already, visit us at almonitor.com, check out our articles, and sign up for our free newsletters. There's a lot to choose from, including the Week in Review, an essay that offers unusual insights and forecasts into the region based upon Al Monitor's outstanding reporting. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe to our Al Monitor podcast on your favorite podcast platform, On Israel with Ben Caspit, and On the Middle East with me, Andrew Parasolidi.
On Israel, thank you for staying with us. General Amos Gilead was sharp and clear, a veteran intelligence living legend, one of the most experienced security experts in the neighborhood, states loud and clear that the annexation will be a fiasco and can cause heavy damage to Israel's national security. If this will also be the diagnosis and recommendation of the serving chiefs of the military establishment in Israel, Netanyahu can find himself in a very delicate situation and dilemma. He will then need to use all of his political expertise and personal persuasion skills in order to convince himself and his partners to go ahead anyway. In this case, Gantz and Ashkenazi can find themselves in a similar dilemma, and we haven't discussed the other obstacles in the international and Middle Eastern arenas yet. This was the third chapter of On Israel. We hope it was interesting, and we will be back here next Monday in Al Monitor. Take care.